We're now joined by Pascal Chan. He is the Vice President, Strategic Policy and Supply Chains for the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Pascal, always good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
So, of course, a big bill here from the government, but the big question really is whether or not this will be enough to jumpstart investment. What do you think?
Well, first of all, we're going through a period of turmoil right now in our trading relationship with the U.S., and businesses have been feeling that. They've been dealing with uncertainty for months now. The steel and aluminum industries have been dealing with tariffs as well since March, and so it's been very complicated for businesses to plan and invest. Now, that said, it was incredibly encouraging to see the Prime Minister prioritize tackling internal trade and nation-building projects in his electoral platform, and we're pleased to see that there's been this intention to capitalize on that momentum that's been building over the last few months by first convening the premiers almost right away and then tabling this legislation, and certainly to move quickly to start eliminating some of these remaining federal barriers to internal trade, but also to make progress on this agenda to start building the trade infrastructure we need to ultimately expand our trade capacity and diversify our trade partnerships.
Okay, so the signals, as you say, this week bookended by the First Minister's meeting, now this piece of legislation. But again, is this enough to get investors on side? Because ultimately that will be the proof in this pudding whether or not this is a success.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have to see, because it's very difficult for us to just transpose the trade that we have with the United States. Our economies and our supply chains are so integrated at this point. We're talking about $3.6 billion in daily cross-border trade. And so when that relationship with our closest ally and largest trading partner is in jeopardy, we now see a light shown on what we should be doing to kind of expand and diversify. And it's not going to be easy. We're not going to be able to just move that over to other markets. But these are important signals and steps that businesses need to see, and frankly have been calling for some years now, to move forward in the direction and build the infrastructure that we need to be able to move products across this country and beyond, and to show that Canadians can reliably deliver the goods.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you use the word infrastructure. I'll jump on that point because I hear what you're saying. This could be that positive sign that industry is waiting for. But the bill does have two parts, and one is, as we said right off top, the approval process. The Prime Minister looking for a 2-year window rather than what it has worked out to be 5 years, if not longer. Is that 2-year window a positive sign? Is that enough, do you think, for industry?
Well, it's definitely a step in the right direction if you're talking about going down from 5 years to 2 years. Absolutely. Permitting on these processes are incredibly important. You look at some projects like Roberts Bank Terminal 2 for the Port of Vancouver and then Contrecoeur for the Port of Montreal. These projects have been talked about for over a decade now, and we're still not actually in the process of building them. So anything that is going to speed up that permitting and allow us to build projects, and this signal from government that it's time to stop slowing these things down and get to work on building these nation-building projects is incredibly encouraging. So obviously we welcome this legislation, and we hope that this is going to be passed quickly and that everybody's able to get to work and we can start expanding that trade that we need so dearly.
Mm-hmm. Now, the second part of this beyond approval process is internal trade. And ultimately, this is not the grand deal involving all provinces and territories. This is just federal regulations. Is that enough?
Well, first of all, removing any federal exemptions that remain under the Canadian Free Trade Agreement is that most obvious solution for the federal government. Tackling other regulatory burdens where there's duplication at multiple levels of government or lack of harmonization can also help, though there typically does remain a provincial element to the equation. Now, we've certainly seen great leadership from the premiers in Ontario, Nova Scotia, and now Quebec, who have tabled legislation to that effect. We've also seen some memorandums of understanding signed looking to support removal of barriers and advance mutual recognition, with hopefully more to come, given what we've heard from the Prime Minister, that there is some considerable enthusiasm around the table to make progress. But we will have to see, because there is an immense portion to be done by the provincial governments.
Yeah, as you say, a bit of a wait and see on that, but certainly, again, a significant bill from the government. Pascal, always appreciate the insight. Thank you for the time this evening.
Thanks for having me, Michael.